Okay, today the clean. Looking at the clean here, one thing that I want to point out in this video is the foot position during the lift. There's two positions that we're going to use in the clean, and it's the same two positions that we would also use in the snatch. So either lift that you're doing, you're going to see the same two foot positions. Okay, the start position, or what we call the jumping stance, is where I'm right now. So a good way to figure out where your jumping stance is, imagine you're going to jump up onto something high, so just stand there, jump up in the air, wherever jump up a couple of times, wherever your feet land. Typically that would be considered your jumping stance. Textbook, it's about hip width apart with the toes facing straight forward. Okay, so you can kind of play with that and figure out where yours exactly is going to be. You want to try to get real consistent with your starting stance. So when you find your jumping stance, you want to always go back to that stance whenever you start your clean or your snatch. Okay, so in this video we're doing the clean. The second foot position that we're going to use is the landing position. So it'll be after we jump the barbell up, and after we receive the barbell, the feet will actually leave the floor and then land back down into that landing position. Now, the landing position has been explained to me as a squat stance. So if you were to do a heavy Olympic style squat, whether it's a front squat or an overhead squat, you would want to land in that same squat stance. So again, there's two stances: your jumping stance and your landing position. So we're going to progress through. You can see the start position here. We're going to bring this barbell up, and we've got videos on all the different pulls, so you can see what happens. The knees go back in the first pull. We're starting to come into the second pull. Okay, here's our extension. You can see the feet are starting to leave the ground. Okay, and now a key thing to know here when you're going into your third pull, which is what's starting right now, and your feet come up off of the floor, you don't want to jump up high in the air. Okay, you want to jump very, very hard and very, very fast, but you don't want to spend a lot of time in the air. Reason being, you got a big heavy weight. You don't want to spend a lot of time, dangling up in the air. So you want to jump and land very, very quickly. So you'll see I'm going to go from my jumping stance into my landing position. And not too much of a difference here. My jumping stance and my landing position, the toes come out a little bit in my landing position, which mimics a little bit more of my squatting stance. But you can see I'm probably not quite to shoulder width yet, but I do tend to have a very narrow squat. So textbook, again, your landing position is the same as your squat stance, and it really shouldn't be much wider than your shoulder width. So imagine it's going to be somewhere between hip width and shoulder width apart when you land. Okay, so we're going to look at that again. We're going to look at here's again the jumping stance or the starting stance, and we're going to come up and we're going to jump up in the air and we're going to land in our squat stance. Okay, and then you keep that squat stance because, of course, especially when it's heavy, you're going to have to squat this weight back up into the air. All right, and now this is a clean and jerk. So as soon as I stand up from my clean, you're going to see my feet come back to the jumping position. Did you see that? Show it again. We're backing up here, so I'm standing up out of my clean, and now watch the feet go back to the jumping stance. Okay, so what we're doing is we're preparing for the jerk. All right, so once you're finished with your clean, you can take a little bit of time here. You can readjust your feet back to the jumping stance, and then you'll perform your jerk. We'll talk about jerk stance in a different video, but this would be your start position of the jerk, going back to that jumping stance. So again, remember two foot positions: the starting position and the landing position. All right, go out and practice.